Since we were formally launched 18 months ago, we have grown our membership from an initially 22 members to over 50 members today, representing companies, but also strategic allies and supporters, representing some of the biggest companies in the world across the plastic value chain. And I will not mention all of them, but just to give you a sense of who our members are, they represent some of the biggest brands and retailers, from Procter & Gamble and Henkel to important actors in the chemicals and petrochemical sector, from Dow and BASF and Shell, to important players on converters and waste management companies. And we are delighted to have Tumbra and Suez as part of our membership base. But equally important to working with the private sector, it's important for us also to work very closely with non-governmental organizations, as well as with development agencies. And we therefore, in the past 6 months, have developed cooperation arrangements and agreements with the UN. In particular, we're working with UN Habitat, but we're also working with development agencies such as the German Development Agency, GIZ. We are working with USAID, as well as the World Economic Forum. And talking plastic, I'm sure that like in Singapore, but anywhere in the world, no matter where we sit or no matter which newspaper we open or television channel we switch on, there's always a story around plastic and plastic waste. And over the last 5 years, and equally important over the last 6 months, we have seen a significant increase in the information and awareness around plastic waste pollution. It's important because it's a visible issue and it's a complex issue, and it's an issue which has very divided opinions attached to it. For one, I think it's important, and I think also that most of you would agree with me, that plastic plays an important role in our daily lives. It has become a critical part of the protection and the preservation of our food, but equally does it provide safety on a daily basis, and it provides health benefits to society. But what we have to do better is to manage the waste that the plastic consumption is generating. And what we have to do better is that we have to prevent that the plastic waste is leaking into the environment. And we also have to work better on designing products so that the plastic that is being put into circulation in the economy can retain its value, and that we can bring that value back into the economy through a circular economy. We all, on one hand, part of the problem, but we also believe from an alliance perspective that we are part of the solutions going forward. And if we're looking a bit at numbers and looking a bit at trends, then, as most of you would also know, that 11 million tons of plastic waste is leaking into our ocean on a yearly basis. And if we don't do anything today, that number will go up. And projections are that when we reach 2040, the amount of plastic waste that will enter into the environment on an annual basis will be 29 million tons. And if we're looking a bit at trade, recent numbers from the European Environment Agency, they showed that in 2019, 150,000 tons of plastic waste was being exported every month. And just going back a few years to 2015 and 2016, that number was twice as big. But as regulations are being put in place, and we all know about the regulations in China, we are seeing similar regulations in other countries, in particular in Southeast Asia. The trade and the export of plastic waste, in particular to developing countries, is going down. And with more regulation coming in through the Basel Convention, the predictions is that the trade will be even less. But what that also means is that we have to start finding solutions to deal with the plastic waste challenge closer to home. Challenges cannot, and we believe also should not be exported, but they should be dealt with where they occur. A few other numbers that we believe are important and an integral part of understanding the problem is that 3 billion people on this planet, they do not have access to organized solid waste management systems where they live. So not only their own consumption, but also the plastic waste that has been exported, whether that has been to Indonesia or the Philippines. These countries do simply not have in place the infrastructure that's required to deal with the recycling, nor for the collection. And therefore, what we see in the developing economies and countries, in particular in Southeast Asia, but also in other parts of the world, that the plastic that we find on the coastlines and in the environment is not only the plastic that's being consumed in those countries, but also the plastic that's being received through export. Going forward, we believe it's important to deal with the multiple aspects of the challenges within the plastic value chain. And one of them is recycling. Looking more at numbers, only 9% of the plastic waste that is being generated at a global level is being recycled. That's a very low percentage. And we believe that we can do much better at the global level. Not only do we need to recycle, but we also need to ensure that the value of the plastic waste is not lost to the economy. Numbers again, $120 billion, that's the estimate of the value of the plastic waste that either ends up in the environment, goes into landfills or incineration or even dump sites. Again, with better systems and the right systems in place in terms of capturing the plastic waste from entering the environment and for bringing it back through the right recycling systems and mechanisms, we can contain that value and contribute to a circular economy. For the business community and for sure for the Alliance, I can say that we believe that these numbers are just not acceptable. We need to recycle more. We need to increase the recycling rate significantly, and we need to preserve the value. But to be successful, we have to build a partnership and we have to build collaboration across all those actors that matters in this conversation. And those are actors from government, so that's policymakers and decision makers. But we also need to integrate the businesses. We need to integrate and work with civil society and non-governmental organizations and the scientific community. Only if we get everyone around the solution will we be able to develop the right solutions for what we believe a very complex issue. The Alliance is bringing together companies. We are bringing together cooperation with governments, civil society, and academia. And it gives me optimism, I have to say, that not only have we in record time been able to bring together 50 companies and organizations who want to invest time and resources, but the fact that we have been able to do it in a short time shows the commitment. And it shows that the world is starting to move in the right direction, even at times when we are faced with huge challenges related to the global pandemic and to COVID-19. Industries and businesses everywhere, so as well as non-profit organizations such as FIBS and the Alliance, we are at the end sitting at the center of what we believe are 3 global trends to which we can provide a significant contribution to solving problems. And the trends are quite clear for us when we talk plastic waste. The growth is going to continue unless we change. Business leaders are embracing this challenge of principles around social responsibility and environmental leadership. And what we also see is that world leaders, both from governments and from the private sector, are recognizing that swift action is required, but also strong leadership and collaboration. Only if we do that, and only if we come together with the leadership such as FIBS and the Alliance driving the change, we will be able to unlock some of the barriers and we will be able to tackle the challenge of plastic waste. Many organizations are active in the space around plastics and plastic waste, including financial institutions. So we from an Alliance, we are coming in with member companies that are targeting a budget of $1.5 billion over the next 5 years. But what we're also seeing is that big financial institutions from the World Bank to the Asian Development Bank and the venture capital are coming around. They are providing increasingly loans, grants, and wants to invest in solutions to prevent the leakage of plastic waste into the environment, but equally much to invest in solutions around recycling. If I look at the Alliance, we are focusing not only on raising resources, but also bringing in the capacity and technical know-how of our member companies. And that's why we want to be an integral part of developing and deploying and de-risking projects that can not only develop new solutions, but also can accelerate and scale those solutions so that we can prevent the leakage, but equally much contribute to a circular economy. Over the past 18 months, we have come from 2 projects or 5 projects in 2 cities to today managing 25 projects in 10 cities, in particular here in Southeast Asia. And as we continue to grow, those numbers will only increase. Our focus has been in the early days of our life on cleanup, on integrated waste management systems with focus on collection and sorting and processing, but equally much on recycling and innovation and education. And in particular, innovation is important for us. And I think for me speaking to you today is also important because I believe, being a Nordic citizen myself, that the Nordic countries and Nordic companies in particular can play an important part in the innovation field and be a major contributor to developing new solutions going forward. We have worked with innovation platforms. Most recently, we have developed important activities with Plug and Play. It's an actor in the US where we have developed a end plastic waste innovation platform where we have incubated startups. In just 3 hubs that we have been running in the US and in Europe and here in Southeast Asia, we have in 4 months had 2,000 startups coming to us wanting to pitch for their ideas. We're incubating 32 of them right now, supporting them and bringing them to a stage where they can go out and pitch for large-scale investments. We see that our member companies are coming forward, and we're already seeing that millions of dollars are being invested into these new startups. Because of this success, we want to expand further, and over the next few months, we will be expanding our innovation and incubation program to China, where we will be having later this month a launch in Shanghai, and we will also be expanding our efforts to Latin America and to Africa, and then we will run all of it one more time because we believe the creation and support of startups in creating new solutions is critical going forward. As we grow, we also learn, and it is important for us that we continue to focus on collaboration. We've been learning and evolving, and that also means that we continue to evolve our strategy going forward. And therefore, one of our focus areas in the last few months, and which will continue to be important for us, is to invest in solutions around a program called Plastic Waste Free Cities. We are working with local cities and local communities in developing infrastructure solutions to end the leakage of plastic waste into the environment. And we have already started engagement with cities in Asia and in Africa and in Latin America. And that's in particular in those areas where we are benefiting from our cooperation with the United Nations as well as with other development agencies. We've also started projects in very small communities. Let me just mention one of them is in Bali in Indonesia, in a small community called Jembrana, where 115,000 inhabitants are living. The reality in that community is that 13,000 tons of plastic waste is leaking into the environment on an annual basis. I had the opportunity to go there myself before COVID. That was in November last year. And I was literally walking on the beach, which was like walking on 2 meters of waste that had been accumulated over a long period of time. And the reason why in these communities, the waste, including the plastic waste, is ending up in the environment is that there are no waste collection or no waste sorting systems in place. So what we have been doing as an alliance, we have put in place, worked with the local community, worked with the local households in putting in place not only a waste sorting and collection, but also recycling systems. We have developed what we believe is an economical, viable model, a sustainable model, and we're now looking and taking that from one community to 30 plus communities in Indonesia through investments from us, but also working with other external partners in raising resources. So as we go ahead, we continue to shape, we continue to learn, and through our efforts, we want to scale and replicate and bring new solutions to communities around the world. We want to be able to continue to bridge the gap between companies and institutions. We want to work with financial institutions to bring resources to communities where the challenges are faced or where the challenges are the biggest. But in order to help them, we need also not only to provide them with financial resources, we need to provide also the right technical solutions. COVID-19 has changed the world. Travel is restricted, but technology has kept us connected. And therefore, we have been able to advance our work on the ground, despite the fact that we have not been able to visit our project partners. The pandemic cannot stop us because we can continue to share our best practices. We can continue to join forces as we get together to tackling one of the biggest environmental challenges of today, which is to end plastic waste in the environment. Our goal is to inspire collaboration. Our goal is to develop new solutions and invest in action that makes a real impact in the communities where it matters the most. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. I hope very much to have an opportunity to engaging with you also outside this forum, knowing also that some of the companies that are listening in today, we would like to see as prospective partners and actors within the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. Thank you very much.